Hey team, this video is going to be about the Mekede Dudu7 settings and every menu and submenu that's inside the settings. The reason that these glasses are on is because it gets a little old having to hold the video camera up the entire time. If you guys remember, the join video that I created was nearly 50 minutes long doing a similar video like I'm about to do with the Mekede Dudu7. Today is July 8th, 2025. So depending upon when you watch this video, some things in the settings, menus and submenus may change, may disappear. There might be something new, potentially. You may be watching this a year in the future, looking at picking up a pre-owned Mekede Dudu7. So yeah, just bear that in mind. This is also the latest OS update that Mekede this is the latest OS update that Mekede has dispatched out. Yeah, remember this, July 8th, 2025, Mekede Dudu7. It's not the Dudu8, it's not the Dudu6. There's going to be ones that differentiate, right? There's a difference between the Dudu6 and the Dudu7, and I would imagine the next iteration is going to be Dudu8, unless something changes. So bear all that in mind while you watch this video. I'm going to attempt to build down in the description of the video chapters, so you can just click on those chapters depending upon what you're looking for in the settings. There are some things that this head unit doesn't do that the 2023 Join head unit does do. And I'll talk more in depth about that, but one example is HDMI out. There is no HDMI out on here. I still prefer this head unit over the Join. Hey team, I just want to show quickly that this video is not sponsored. I purchased this with my own money. If I come into my orders, and if I search my orders Mekede, and I hit enter, ordered on November 27th, and my order details shows the total price that I paid, which back then was $775.58, but that's because I also got the 360-degree camera system. The price has gone down since then, but I just want to make sure that we've got full transparency here, that there's no sponsorship, so these are all of my opinions. Mekede hasn't asked me to say anything particularly or not say anything about them, so yeah, let's jump into it. So let's get into it. Let's jump into the camera that is on my Ray-Ban Metas right now and dive in here.
3368, erase all data.
All right, let that thing go through its stuff. I want to talk about this Facebook comment that I made. So Scott had asked what makes this head unit the current flagship king. Now, of course, when I say current, I'm talking about as of July 8th, 2025. And of all the head units that I've tested, Join, Alpine, Heighten, the Sony, JVC, and the Kenwoods, though this one is by far the best. Of course, Android operating system, right? This is a given. But when I compare it to the Join, which was my previous Android flagship king, this does have a better sound processing. The RCA pre-out voltage is higher. I'm going to make a video showing you guys how I test the RCA pre-out voltage of the Mekede, showing those results as well. This one has a higher PPI and resolution. The 360-degree camera system is available. Now, remember, if you guys have been a subscriber on here, you guys have seen my previous video on the Join. The Join did have a 360-degree camera system that they attempted to launch. I beta tested that, but unfortunately the software was not up to snuff. It was very, very cumbersome and I could not get it going. There is a 2025 Join head unit coming in the mail to me, and that one's supposed to have the 360-degree parking system. Now, what I always tell you guys, I don't bank on what a company says is coming. I just bank on what's currently, as of today, working. So this has a 360-degree camera system available and functioning. There's SWC custom mapping, and by that I mean steering wheel controls. You can custom map your steering wheel controls unless you're using the Canbus decoder, also known as the Canbus adapter. I have a Canbus adapter on this Mekede Dudu7, so my steering wheel buttons are not customizable. However, there is talks of potentially, if I remove the Canbus adapter, then possibly I could get the steering wheel customization so that I'm able to define, let's say if I hit the volume up button, because from the factory, the volume up button is located behind the steering wheel. If I hit that button, maybe it turns my screen off, or maybe it goes to the front camera. You know, that's what I'm talking about as far as being able to define what you want your steering wheel control to do. So as of now, no, I can't, but I'm going to test later in a future video if I remove the Canbus adapter, if then it will let me. The next thing that I talk about is split screen is easier to launch. That's true. Compared to the Join, at least the 2023 drawing head unit, the split screen is much easier to launch on here. In fact, the launcher that comes with this automatically has split screen on it, but I don't see myself using the launcher, although it's beautiful. I'm going to probably end up going to Nova. Not saying that Nova launcher is better than the Dudu7 launcher. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply saying that that's what I'm used to. The other thing that I mentioned is that this gets a higher Geekbench score. So I will have a video in the future showing the Geekbench of this compared to my 2023 Joing head unit. And then I'll also have the 2025 Joing head unit. I'm going to Geekbench all of them in that video, and you guys can see that. Frankly, to me, I don't really care about Geekbench scores. I just care about day-to-day fluidity. However, I know some of you are like connecting Xboxes and PlayStation 5s and stuff like that. And I understand that a higher Geekbench would systematically say that it would be smoother. Nonetheless, I don't really nerd out on Geekbench scores, but I want to make these videos for you guys to help you guys out and let you guys make an informed decision. This is the first thing that you're going to see after you go through those first initial steps. And this is what the launcher is going to look like. So on the bottom left-hand side, you've got your volume up button and your volume down button. And then the circle on the bottom left, that's your home. So even if I tap it, nothing happens, just goes home. And then your back button on the bottom left. This is your playback pending down here. That's if you've got Bluetooth connected, the radio, or if you have internal files on the device itself. I believe if you click the plus icon, you'll be able to select from all these other different items here. You can select a plethora of apps that you can add. On the right side of the bottom where it says playback pending, you've got the play button. Obviously, I don't have anything going on right now, so nothing is going to play. To the right of that, you've got your maps. If I press and hold maps, you can select what app you want to show up there, or I can remove it. Confirm app removal. So now maps is gone on the bottom center. That button that I clicked right there, the green button with the white dot and then 3 clear dots around it, that just brings up your app menu. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plus icons located to the right of that. That allows you to add any of these items here. Now, if I was to add air conditioner, you can see that if I tap on that, it says AC control not supported. I do have a Canbus module installed. However, my vehicle does not control the air in my vehicle through any head unit. And because of that, that will not work. That may differ for your vehicle, of course. So you understand what the plus icons are. To the right of those, you've got a Bluetooth icon, a Wi-Fi icon, and the time. If I click down there, you'll see it brings me to my notification center, and then I've got some widgets here that I can tap on, and then it disappears. It disappears automatically. On the top right, there's a gear icon. So if I was to tap on that gear icon, it will take us to the settings menu. The settings menu begins with account connection at the top. You'd have to log in and create an account. If you have a Dudu, or if you have a Mekede Dudu account already, you can use your existing email and password. If you don't, you would click register. Then you would put in the information that you need to for registration. Click back and click back. Let's go back. We've got the gear icon. Okay, that's the settings. Let's go back to home. So here on the launcher, on the left-hand side, we've got maps. In the middle, we've got local music selected, but I could do Spotify, Bluetooth, the local radio. On the right side of that, I've got the app section. These are obviously 3 divided areas on this launcher. And here are all of the apps that come with the Mekede Dudu7 as of the latest update, which is 3.6. So filing through back there again, I would like to mainly discuss on this video the setup. Referencing this launcher, I will make a separate video discussing this launcher. So to go into settings, which Mekede calls setup, I'll tap on setup. And here, again, I mentioned we've got account connection, we've got wireless connections, we've got launcher settings, vehicle settings, sound settings, display and theme, device connection, more features, about device. Let's start with wireless connection, and we're going to go through each submenu. So here in wireless connection, the first one's going to be Bluetooth. There's no Bluetooth that's currently found. if you want to connect to a Bluetooth device, let's say an OBD2 connection, or maybe your phone, maybe a wireless keyboard, you would hit tap search. It's going to ask, are you sure you want to rescan for Bluetooth devices? Before scanning and to help prevent failures, please ensure that you have your mobile Bluetooth settings in view and that the Bluetooth is switched on. What they're saying is make sure that you're within about 6 feet or so of the head unit with your Bluetooth device. And then we'll click scan. Now, I don't have any Bluetooth devices currently around me, so we're not going to see anything. Again, this video is just trying to make a brief, just trying to show you guys a brief walkthrough of the setting area and every menu and submenu that's available. Wi-Fi I do have currently enabled. If I click on the Wi-Fi name, you're going to see all the different Wi-Fi available in my area. Now, I'm currently connected to 5 gigahertz. This device does have 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz. So you've got that option. You'll also notice a gear icon here. So when I click on that gear icon, you've got options to forget, disconnect, share, the signal strength. I'm currently on frequency of 5 gigahertz. My security is WPA2. I'm curious if it has WPA3. I don't know. If I scroll down, you've got privacy and then my MAC address. And I'm not going to continue scrolling down because then you're going to start seeing my IP address and stuff like that. But check this out. On the top right-hand side, you're going to see a pencil. If you click on that pencil, you can change your password. Let's say that you changed the password of your Wi-Fi, or maybe your roommate did, or your parents did, whatever the case is. Then you could update that there. Under advanced options, you can change proxy, IP settings, privacy, and that's pretty much it. If I change my IP settings to static, and if I was to tap static, in there, you've got DNS settings. So those of you that have dns.adguard.com, that's where you would be able to put that stuff in there. So I'm going to cancel out of that because I don't want to go in it, because then it was just going to just show my IP address. Next up, we've got mobile network. The device does come with a 4G LTE SIM card tray. I don't have a SIM card hooked up currently. I do plan on putting a SIM card in here, but you don't need a SIM card. You'll notice that on my YouTube channel, I have a how-to on turning on your Wi-Fi hotspot on your cell phone automatically whenever it connects to the Bluetooth of your head unit, no matter what head unit you have. I used that feature previously on my Join head unit. So what happens is my cell phone connects to my head unit, in this case the Mekede, and then my cell phone says, okay, I see that it's connected to the head unit. Now I'm going to turn on the Wi-Fi hotspot. At that point, the Mekede head unit would connect to Wi-Fi of my cell phone, and that would allow me to have data connection. So it would eliminate the need for me to have a SIM card. The only reason that I'm going to move to a SIM card on the Mekede Dudu7 is because if my vehicle ever gets stolen, I will be able to track the location of that vehicle because the Mekede is going to always have a data connection hooked up to it. That's assuming that the thief doesn't go inside my glove box and cut the SIM card connection out. Now, I have other redundancies on my vehicle that, should that happen, I can still track them via GPS. I'm not going to talk about that just in case a thief is watching this vehicle. But that being said, that's where, if I was to be able to tap a mobile network, I could do that there. Next up, we've got network settings. Clicking on network settings, you've got preferences, saved networks, non-carrier data usage. Clicking on network preferences, you've got your local area network plus. You've got the turning on Wi-Fi automatically. That's whenever you get close to your nearest Wi-Fi, like say maybe work or home. And then you can notify for public networks. I've gone ahead and turned that off. It is on by default, so FYI, I turn it off. And let's go save networks. That's pretty self-explanatory. Non-carrier data usage. This is what the non-carrier data usage looks like. I would imagine, this is an assumption and an opinion, I don't know for fact, but if I had my SIM card, I think underneath non-carrier data usage, I would probably see another option for carrier usage. Airplane mode, self-explanatory. If I was to tap on airplane mode, that would cut off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Hotspot and tethering. Yes, this does have built-in hotspot. So, as it says here, use your hotspot and tethering to provide internet to other devices through your mobile data connection. Apps can also create a hotspot to share content with nearby devices. I believe that that's pretty important to a lot of you guys. There is an option here that if I did have my phone connected up to one of the USB cables that's located behind the Join, that's located behind the Mekede Dudu7, which I've fished over to my glove box, then I would be able to click on USB tethering, What that does is it would use the SIM card inside of my cell phone to transmit data via USB into the head unit. And then my head unit basically is on data, just as if it had its own 4G SIM card, or just like it was connected to Wi-Fi. Bluetooth tethering, same principle as the USB, just wirelessly through Bluetooth. Ethernet tethering, I don't understand Ethernet tethering. I've never done it before on any device. I've never seen a phone that has an Ethernet cable attached to it. I would assume that there's probably a USB-C cable out there because my phone accepts USB-C. I would bet there's probably a USB-C cable that goes to a Ethernet port, probably. So maybe that's how that would work. Wi-Fi hotspot. Clicking on Wi-Fi hotspot, if I turn that on, and here you can change your host name. So I would change this to, let's say, Jeep, right? Or as my girlfriend calls it, Jeepy. So now, if my girlfriend's with me, or if I need something to connect to the hotspot that's currently being generated by the Mekede Dudu7, well, there you go. I can do that there. The generic hotspot password is this. This is automatically generated by Mekede from their factory. So that means you can change it and you can make it whatever you want to make it. You can also change the band. You can make it 2.4 gigs. That's huge because a lot of devices, a lot of peripherals, they don't use 5 gigahertz. They're still stuck on legacy 2.4. So that's nice that they let you change that. Privacy, being able to use the device MAC address or use a randomized MAC, and then there's security. Not all devices are up to snuff on the latest and greatest WPA3. A lot of devices are still stuck on legacy WPA4. Correction, are still stuck on legacy WPA2. So shout out to Mekede for letting us have that option there. In fact, I better turn off Wi-Fi hotspot because I currently have the fan turned off on the head unit. That way you guys can hear me clearly. And I don't want this device to run any hotter than it needs to. Okay, data saver. With data saver turned on, I believe you can restrict certain apps. Yeah. By the way, I am going to absolutely eradicate Android Auto and Apple CarPlay off of this device, also known as CarLink 2.0. Some of you guys remember it as Z-Link, if you ever had a Join head unit or any of the other head units that are available out there in the aftermarket. So yeah, I'm going to be removing that, and I'll make another video on how to remove apps from your device. I would be using ADB commands, so that's going to be in another video. VPN, those of you that want to use a VPN, here you go. You've got the option to create and set up your VPN. Is that it for wireless connection? Did I hit the back button too many times? Yeah, that's it. Okay, so for wireless or for Wi-Fi menu, that's it. Hotspot. Going into the hotspot menu. Oh no, I've already been here, right? We were here. We were here. I don't know how we got here, but there you go. That's the hotspot. Mobile network. This looks really familiar. So some of these submenus that are inside mobile network and hotspot, we were already in there by clicking on Wi-Fi. And then, yeah, airplane mode. Yikes, that needs to be disabled. I accidentally clicked that. I thought there might be a submenu, but there's not. So if you click on that, it's going to automatically enable it. Okay, so let's disable that. All right, team, moving into launcher settings. We've got a lot of submenus here. So starting with launcher mode, minimalist mode, there's two different options, normal and minimalist. You guys have already seen minimalist at the beginning of this video. If I click on normal, it's going to reboot. I am going to wait on clicking normal. I can make another video. You guys just leave a comment down below if you guys want to see what normal mode looks like. I don't want to click normal mode right now because that's going to reboot reboot this device. Layout settings. So clicking on layout settings, we have background type, a themed wallpaper, a custom wallpaper, and a 3D car model. Looks like custom wallpaper and 3D car model doesn't really change anything. But clicking on themed wallpaper, themed just has minimalist mode instructions, display status bar, use home icon to hide the minimalist picture in pictures. I don't know what that does. Interesting. Let's try that. Theme wallpaper, use home icon to hide minimalist PIPs. So if I go home, and then I click home again, oh, okay, so it just brings this up. It brings up the wallpaper and the time. If I tap that again, it brings up the 3 widgets, or the 3 split screens. Okay, interesting. Let's go back into setup, back into launcher mode, whoops, back into layout settings. Okay, so now we know what the home icon to hide minimalist PIPs. I don't care to ever hide that. Display the status bar. I think the status bar, Yeah, the status bar is that thing up here. This is your status bar. So if we go back into setup and we go back into layout settings and we say display status bar and then we go back to home, you'll see the date and time now show up along with the Wi-Fi icon, the GPS icon, and the gear icon at the very top of the screen. Back into layout settings. Still in theme wallpaper, minimalist mode instructions. Swipe left and right to adjust the number of minimalist PIPs displayed and or the size. Click the icon, ... to change the plugin. Long press the icon and drag to change its position. Swipe down with 3 fingers to switch to wallpaper or 3D car mode. Let's try that. So there's 3 icons here. I can grab it and I can move it around to switch it. I can tap it and it says open full screen or widget selection. If I click widget selection, I get these options here. ADAS, quad widget, PIP app 3, PIP app 1, music, PIP app 2. What happens if we click PIP app 1? The app is not installed. Please install and try again. So I basically just put on there what I want. Okay, calculator. Right on. Can't see those 3 dots anymore because the calculator's in black. So I just took a shot in the dark there. Select app. We could change that to AR DVR, which I don't currently have hooked up. Yeah, it's got a no icon on the top right. Clicking that again. Let's go to widget selection and let's go back to music. This is what things are in the default. And what's another widget selection? Vehicle condition. This is just going to show your vehicle. I've currently got the door open, so if I shut my door, you guys can see it's got the speed in kilometers an hour and then the travel time, total mileage, yada yada. You can change kilometers an hour to miles per hour. I'll show you that later in the video as we go through these submenus. Tapping that again, widget selection. Let's go back to music and then let's click widget selection again. Dual aggregated widgets. That's pretty cool. So you've got your weather and then you've got if you're going north, south, east, west, yada yada. That's all right there. And I think it said if you press and hold it. Yeah, pressing and holding it moves it around. Okay, we know that much. I thought there was another option that it mentioned earlier. Oh, interesting. Now we've got gyroscope and speed. Oh, I see. Yeah, safe. The reason it's showing that is because this is currently dual. I forgot that I put that in a dual widget, dual aggregated widget. That's what they're talking about there. So that's cool. If you go into dual aggregated widget and then you click on widget selection, whoops, that's not it. If we go back to widget settings, now you can see you can move things around. So I've kind of like TPMS set up, which I don't. What I've got compass. So I think the reason it's not showing speed, gyroscope, and TPMS is probably because I don't have the OBD2 port connected. If you did, I believe that those options would show up there. All right, good deal. Let's go back to music. And of course, we can make these things bigger. We can tap on the 3 dots and make it full screen, and that just opens up the app completely. Going back to home. There you go. Jump back into settings here. We were in minimalist mode. No, we were in layout settings. Custom wallpaper. So with custom wallpapers, we have some items that we can select. In theme wallpaper, we have minimalist display and use home icon to hide minimalist PIPs. But then we've got this plugin uses a transparent Gaussian blur background. I don't know what that is, but if I click on it and then I go home, oh, I see. Notice that in the top left-hand side, it shows the wallpaper on the top left-hand side. The wallpaper that is pre-selected from the factory, which you can change, by the way. Let's go back to layout settings. Use home icon to hide. The plugin uses a transparent background. So if I turn that off, I go back to home. Click home again. Well, I'm not really seeing a change with that then. Oh, it turned it off. Weird. Yeah, I don't really see a change. Maybe if I had a different wallpaper selected, I might see a change with a Gaussian blur background. 3D car model. By the way, how were we able to see the 3D car model? Oh, swipe down with 3 fingers to switch to wallpaper or 3D car model mode. That's right. That's what I forgot to show you guys. So 3-finger swipe. Now it shows my vehicle, which that's a poor representation, but in the settings you can change how that vehicle looks. If I open up the passenger side, Now it's got both doors open. Okay, that gives you an idea. Can I move this around? Yeah, I can. So if I swipe my finger around the car, I can, it just moves it around. I don't know anybody's going to use this. Frankly, I'm not even going to use this home launcher. I'm going to end up using Nova, but not because this home launcher is bad, just because that's what I'm accustomed to. I'm accustomed to using Nova Launcher. You guys may like this. In fact, this is the best home launcher of any Android head unit that I have seen come from a factory to date, and that is as of July 2025. Of course, by the time that you're watching this video, that's subject to change. Let's go to status bar, time information, vehicle information. If I click on vehicle information and I go back to home, you'll notice that it just has this human icon outline on the top left-hand side. What happens if I click on that? Oh, okay, yeah, it's just the login to the Mekede user that you created whenever you go register your account on the website. Or I shouldn't say on the website, but when you're inside of account connection, this right there that shows up. Okay, so let's go back to status bar, let's go back to time information, and then we'll see the time show back up on the top left-hand side. Going back into status bar. What was that under vehicle information? Oh, use time instead of avatars. Okay. So if I select that and I go back to home, now it has the time, not the date. Interesting. Going back to status bar, middle, custom time, altitude, temperature. So I think the temperature would be based off GPS, perhaps. In-vehicle temperature and in-vehicle humidity. Mekede does sell a, they sell an accessory that will let you know what the ambient temperature is inside your vehicle along with the humidity. I don't know why anybody would use it, but for those of you that are interested, that's an option. I'm going to click confirm and go home. So on the top center, we see 120.031.7 degrees Celsius. What happens if I drop down on that? No, nothing. Go back in there, back to status bar, back to custom. We said altitude and temperature. So the temperature's in Celsius, which we can change that in settings later. But the altitude is interesting. Anyway, getting out of there, advanced settings. Adapt the status bar background with the wallpaper. Click in the question mark. It answers whatever question that you might have. This feature is only going to work with themes that are applied, which are adapted to use this feature. The switch will otherwise have no effect. Well, here's what they're saying. If you have night mode and day mode, and you have the night mode to be configured to turn on with your headlights turning on, say you go underneath a bridge, say that you go inside of a tunnel, say you go inside of a parking garage, or it's just night outside, whatever the case is, and you have automatic headlights pre-configured on your vehicle from the factory, because not all vehicles have automatic headlights, then that will change the theme of the status bar. That means that this status bar on the very top, where it's got the time, the Wi-Fi signal, the gear icon, that'll change with the theme. So that means it'll go black. If you don't want it to go black, you want it to remain white, then under advanced settings, adapt status bar background with wallpaper, you would turn that off. Using an enlarged status bar, probably talking to people like me that are older. Oh man, I really don't want to reboot, but I'm guessing it's just going to shrink the status bar. It's not going to be so giant like it is right now. Tap on time loading action. What does this mean? May conflict with scheduled task. Top tap. Status bar vehicle info, ODB priority. Okay, if you guys know the answer to this one, leave a timestamp in the comment section for the timestamp that you're seeing right now. What does that mean? Tap on time loading action. Trigger scheduled task or large clock widget. I don't know what that is. Next up, we've got status bar icon settings. Status bar icon settings currently has cellular data, real-time services, Wi-Fi, GPS, and SWC. If I click on outside temperature and I click confirm and we go back home, you're going to see on the top right-hand side, it's got an icon now that's got the temperature in Celsius, which again is a reminder that can be changed in settings. So that shows you status bar icon settings, all the different things that you guys can put in there. OBD fuel information, OBD water temp information, weather. I wouldn't mind having weather, to be honest. Real-time services, cellular data. I don't need to know about cellular data necessarily, or the Wi-Fi. I mean, I already know that my Wi-Fi signal is not very good here in the garage, so I'll turn that off. I'll turn off GPS because I'm always going to have GPS turned on. SWC, steering wheel control. We'll leave that. Go back, and now we've got partly cloudy, 31 degrees Celsius outside. And then the temperature, which I guess that's coming from the OBD2 dongle, which I don't have connected right now. Back in status bar. So that's everything for status bar. You guys can play around with this on your own. Going back to launcher settings, we'll go into Nav Bar. Here inside the Nav Bar, the navigation bar is the bar that you see on the bottom of the screen. Nav Bar style is layout 1. AC is not supported. If I went to, oh boy, I just clicked it on accident. If I went to layout 3, dual zone AC, notice the nav bar changed. So my vehicle, a Jeep Wrangler, does not have dual zone climate control that is ever controlled by a head unit. And because of that, from the factory, this doesn't work for me. So if I click it, it says it's not supported by my vehicle. Makes sense. Clicking that, nothing. So I have to go to layout 1, AC is not supported. Custom layout, I don't really see a difference there on custom layout, except for it just shows the plus and minus. Like, yeah, I don't understand the difference between custom layout and layout 1. Custom layout just, oh, I see next track. I see next tracks popped up, but that's really about it. I don't really see any other changes here. Yeah, there was that diamond on the bottom left, rather than the home, the little circle. So now we've got a diamond instead of a circle. And then we've got, is this recents? Yeah, that's the recent icon. Back to home. And let's go back into setup. So I guess it gives us the recent button, and it changes the home button to that little diamond shape. And then it added next track as well. Meh, whatever. You got that option. Display configuration. Nav bar can be on the left or on the right. Let me correct that. Nav bar can be on the left or on the bottom. Display configuration, I currently have it set to letting me see the status bar on the top and the notification bar. Or let me phrase that. The status bar and the nav bar. So I've got mine set to show both. You don't have to. You can just have one or the other. If I just click nav bar only, it'll reboot my head unit. I don't want to do that. But this icon shows you, these icons show you the layout of what that would look like. Change this to the left side. The nav bar will be changed, display on the left. Are you sure you want to continue? I do not want to continue because it's going to reboot. You guys get the idea. Custom widgets. Oh, okay. So instead of volume up and volume down, I could just remove that volume up, volume down button and just have the home and then the back button and recent tab. So if I click that, notice it changes. And I have to get my recent button that shows up. Go back to style 4, it changes it and removes the recent feature and just adds the plus and minus. Yeah, no big deal there. Let's go back to launcher settings, wallpaper. Hitting the question mark, wallpaper supports custom imports of images and videos. For video formats, it's recommended to import files at 720p resolution. That's going to help it avoid freezing. So if I click on wallpapers, I get my day wallpaper, I can import that, or I can download it. Downloading a wallpaper means you have to register an account with Mekede, and then Mekede has several wallpapers that you can choose from, or you can import it from, like, the SD card. Here it says the video should be no larger than this, 60 frames per second and less than 500 megabits in size. Animation should be less than 5 megs in size. I don't comprehend anyone that wants to see a wallpaper, because if I'm behind the steering wheel, I'm probably driving. And if I'm at a red light, I'm waiting for the light to turn green. So I get some people want videos or certain wallpapers. I could care less because I'm always in split screen mode. For me, I always have my navigation up, and I've always got some kind of sound going, or I've got the rear view camera pulled up in split screen. So that's where I live. I'm always living in rear view cameras turned on one side of the screen and my GPS navigation's on the other side of the screen. So I don't care about wallpapers. And then night wallpaper, same thing, self-explanatory. Your wallpaper can change depending upon how you've selected your theming to be changed. And we'll get into that later in the settings. Wallpaper management, yep, same thing. Wallpaper download, I have to log in. Nav Bar, Nav Bar day theme can look like this. Nav Bar night theme can look like this. Nav Bar theme management. I could download a theme from Mekede, and that could be a red or it could be a blue one, whatever. Theme download, self-explanatory, I'm not logged in. Icon center. This is what the icons look like during the daytime. This is what the icons look at nighttime. Yeah, I've got no options here, again, because I have not created or registered an account with Mekede. But if you did do that, you can change all that. You can also import icons. That's pretty cool. Let's go to OSD Center. I'm learning that I need to create a Mekede account at this point. So maybe in a separate video, I'll create a Mekede account and we can see all the different things that Mekede has as availability. Yeah, download manager. I haven't downloaded anything, so that makes sense. Back out of that. Transition animation, fade in and fade out. Uncover the switch, smooth switching in 3D. Whoa. Zoom out and zoom in and smoothly switch. I'm wondering if I click that and then I click switch to night. Oh, I've got to change it to manual. Okay. Interesting. Oh, got it. So that's a smooth transition to bringing up the manual. Okay, I see what's happening there. Right on. Back to wallpapers, transition. Again, I don't really care about, just default it. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter, but you guys can play around to see what you guys like on there. 360-degree rotation toggle, that would be interesting. Advanced settings, component transparency, wallpaper night theme. So you can change how transparent you want your wallpaper to be at night. I'm going to try to put that back to 40. Automation. What the hell is that? Automatically cycle through set wallpapers. Allow wallpaper video to complete before switching to the next wallpaper. Oh, so this allows you to switch to a whole bunch of different wallpapers if you get bored. Dude, they put so much time in this. I would have never cared about that. Here you can change the color of your vehicle. I believe that there's other color options available if you download them from either the Telegram group or from their website. The number plate, I'll put on here the word elevated. Confirm that. Go back over here, do the 3-finger swipe down, and now the number plate shows the word elevated. I could care less. I know that some of you guys like that stuff, and that's where you can go do that. View model view, or vehicle model view. Vehicle model view. What did that do? What did that do? Did that do anything? Vehicle model view. Increase or decrease, bottom, what does this mean? Close 3D? Close 3D. So whenever I clicked close 3D, that made all those things go away. Vehicle model view, turn that back on. Left, if I click left plus, left minus, right plus, I'm clicking these and nothing's happening. Bottom plus, oh, you have to tap and tap and tap, okay. Increase or decrease. Decrease, I'm clicking decrease now and it's just moving the vehicle down. Whatever, let me reset. That's gimmicky in my opinion. Moving on to vehicle. Inside vehicle, you can change your canvas. I highly recommend. Do not change your vehicle to a different vehicle that you don't have. I'm going to make a video explaining why. I ran into a massive mess. And in the video that I'll show later in the week that I'll upload on my YouTube channel, I'm going to show what I did and how to fix it, because I would believe that some of you are going to accidentally click the wrong video, and you do not want to do that. How do I head back on here? Yeah, because that was a bit of a nightmare for me. Canbus settings. So clicking on Canbus settings, you've got display door status enabled. And you guys saw earlier that when I opened up the passenger door, it showed an animation that the passenger door was opened. You can change your driver position. So those of you that don't live in a country where the driver sits on the left-hand side of the vehicle, you can change that. You can swap rear doors. If you click the question mark, it says enabling this option to swap the rear door status image if the door opening is appeared reversed. So basically mirroring the image is what that would do. Indicator animations, this is pretty cool. The indicator animations is an animation that's going to appear on the screen mimicking the activation of either the left or the right indicators. This feature is not supported by all models. That's true. My vehicle is probably not going to support that. Swapping the previous and next buttons. So on my Jeep, on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, behind it, I'm able to go next track or previous track. Enabling the option is going to swap the steering wheels to previous and next buttons if they're incorrectly reversed by default. So you guys can play with that. If you don't want it to do previous, instead you would rather you want it to go to the next button, but you click the previous button, well, you can swap that. Same thing with volume up and volume down buttons. Self-explanatory. The AC floating window, this won't work for me, but this would essentially launch a animation that's a mirror image, by the way, of a Tesla Model 3, Model Y. Here I can change it to Fahrenheit, and you can change driver side to passenger, passenger to driver by clicking right or left on there. An AC floating window. I don't need it because, again, unfortunately from the factory, I didn't have that option. Jeep never had that option from the factory, so I might as well turn that off. Other settings, automatically start stop. I don't know what that does. My vehicle does not have auto start stop. Basically, what I believe they're saying on here is if you come to a stoplight and your vehicle from the factory has automatic start stop, like my girlfriend's Mercedes AMG CLA 35 automatically turns off the motor on her vehicle when she comes to a complete stop. I think that if I had that activated, I would be able to turn the auto start stop feature off, or I could turn it on with that setting turned on. Now I don't have that from the factory, so I might as well leave mine turned off. External temperature display, I believe that's in the status bar, and again, I don't need that, so I'm turning that off. Let's see if I'm right. No, I'm not right. I thought I was right. I'm not right. Nothing changed up there. Interesting. Going back inside, vehicle, Canbus settings, other settings. Okay, so we're done here in vehicle. I'm going to click back. Well, we're done inside the Canbus setting menu. Head unit settings, reverse camera. Reverse guidelines enabled. I love that. I'm also going to set my trajectory line to the direction that I want it to go. So if I was to click set the trajectory line to static, that means when I turn the steering wheel, the trajectory lines would not move dynamically to the area that the vehicle is going to be located in the future. Now, I want it to show that. I don't want them to be static, so I'm going to turn that off. Reverse the trajectory line direction. That's basically just going to mirror the image. And because I have already played with this for about 2 weeks now, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on for me, for my vehicle. You may not need that. Here you can change the angle of the trajectory. For example, that's not available for 360 panorama. And it could drastically change the accuracy. But what that means is when those trajectory lines show up and you move your steering wheel, it can really move that trajectory, like really bend it to the left or really bend it to the right, depending upon which way your steering wheel is turned, or it could barely move it at all. So I'll leave mine set to 40. You guys can, of course, play around with that. Radar enabled. I don't have the sensors located on the rear bumper. The reason I don't have that is because my vehicle doesn't even have that option from the factory. So if you have a newer Ford Taurus, or if you have a BMW 335i from, like, say 2010, 2012, then yeah, you'd have those factory sensors located in your bumper that's going to have a radar of how close or how far away you are from the object that you are about to hit if you keep going. I can turn mine off. Non-reverse radar display, don't need that on either. Now you guys might want to keep that, mind you, if you guys have that, you want to leave it on. Reversing screen, AHD, and TVI, that's just formats for different rear view cameras. If your rear view camera came from Mekede, or if you have an existing rear view camera from Join, you'll want AHD. And there you can mirror it, driver side, or passenger side and driver side, you can mirror that right there. reverse gear delay to start reversing. So if you had that turned on, it would delay the reverse camera showing up on the screen. You may want that depending upon what kind of vehicle that you have. Some vehicles will immediately throw up the rear camera display just because you're moving from park to drive. So if you're moving from park to drive, you'll have to go past the reverse and neutral area, and it might throw up the reverse camera real quickly. So if it does that for you, you may want to have this turned on. Front view of the camera after reversing. I'm not going to turn that on because I do have the 360 camera system. I haven't set it up yet, but I plan on doing that. That's going to be in a future video. So that wraps it up for the reversing image submenu. Well, that's interesting. They call it reversing image here in the submenu, but here it's called reverse camera. Man, steering wheel control. I wish that my Canbus adapter that I was sent would allow for me to have steering wheel control. So, for example, my steering wheel has a phone icon that I'll never use because I don't make phone calls while I'm driving. That's just my preference. I know a lot of you do. But for someone like me, I could use that phone button on my steering wheel to maybe make the screen go black or maybe show me the front camera. That would allow me to define what the steering wheel buttons do. Unfortunately, my Canbus module doesn't allow me to do that. I have been reading and researching this. Potentially, and I need to do some more research, but potentially I think if I remove my Canbus module, then at that point, if I rewire some things behind the head unit, I might be able to have steering wheel controls defined by me. So if I want the volume up button to turn on the rear camera, or maybe I want it to launch Google Voice when I hit the volume up button instead of increasing the volume, well, steering wheel controls allows me to do that. But again, mine are already defined by my Canbus module, so doesn't really work for me. Let's see, we've got button settings, reset the SWC configuration, which I'm not going to do that. The mode button settings. See, I think that these mode buttons here, those go to this accessory. Okay, so I believe that's for this SWC that you see here. I think it's for the Easy Connection SWC BLE. It's kind of like a watch for your steering wheel. It's got a strap behind it that lets you connect it up to your steering wheel. And there's 5 buttons on there. And those 5 buttons, you can pre-program what they do. So here for mode button, you see mode key 1 through 5, and that accessory has 5 buttons on it. But moreover, you can also long press each one of those 5 buttons. And so you technically have 10 items that can be controlled with that. Mode key app 1, mode key app 2, mode key app 3. Man, I just don't know what this mode key section is for. Mode button settings and app function settings. I'm really taking a shot in the dark. I'm not too sure what that is. System operation home. Press and hold the button for 5 seconds. Yeah. That would be nice if there was an option to do that. Okay, here we go. Open app 1, open app 2, open app 3. Open app 1, open app 2, and open app 3. So I think this open app 1, open app 2, and open app 3, I believe those might be here for app function. Mode 1, mode key app 2, mode key app 3. I think those two are connected somehow. Open key 1, open key 2, and open key 3. Press and hold the button for 5 seconds. Yeah, so I think that's what that is. Mode button, which we saw here, mode button settings. Mode button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So going back into click to learn, mode button. Press and hold the button for 5 seconds. Okay, interesting. Man, I don't know enough about this, and I won't have this accessory. Where did I find it at? I don't have this accessory coming. Yeah, this SWC accessory in the top left, I don't have that coming for a couple of weeks because it's got to come in from China, and I just recently ordered it yesterday. So that'll be a little bit. I'll have to come back to SWC. In fact, I'll probably make my own video on trying to do the steering wheel control button learning. Let's go back. So there's SWC, we've done that. Startup settings. Here is startup settings. Ignition off, head unit status. Sleep mode has voltage protection. Now Joing had that too, so it's really good to see that here. If the voltage of your battery drops below a certain voltage, then the head unit will fully power down. Currently it's just in standby mode. That's why whenever I turn the vehicle on, the head unit comes on really quickly. That's because it's more of a sleep, low voltage status. So, sleep and shutdown, I can choose between the two. Delay the time between ignition off and head unit sleep shutdown. So, if I was to turn my car off, and let's say after, 60 seconds? Let's say after, 59 seconds. With that, I'm able to turn my vehicle off, and my head unit still will have power, still playing music, and if you have subwoofers, still draining a lot, or still sucking a lot of voltage from the battery while the subwoofer's thumping. So be very mindful of that. You can have the head unit stay on for up to 600 seconds, which is quite a long time. Me, I just want the head unit to go immediately into sleep mode. I wonder if there's a way to say when the voltage, like say for example, if I set this to 12 volts, if the battery gets down to 12 volts, then shut down the Mekede Dudu7. But I don't see anywhere, I don't see a setting for that. There might be one later when I dive in deeper in the settings, but right now I'm not seeing that. Joing had the option to do like down to I think 11.5 volts and every increment in between, which is pretty cool, but I'm not seeing that here. Apps open at startup. No, that's nice. I have not seen this before. I mean, I haven't dove into this until just now, so that's cool. I can turn on different apps. Well, it sure would be nice to be able to see a whole bunch of other apps show up here. So, for example, I wouldn't mind seeing this app, the Dashcam. I wouldn't mind seeing the Dashcam app because right now the Dashcam app goes to my rear view app, my rear view camera. So that's a bummer. I'm not seeing that on there. So I guess let's go back into vehicle, back into startup settings. Apps to open at startup. Yeah, that's a bummer. Not all apps show up here. Boot logo setting. The picture format must be BPM. The picture resolution is not less than 200 pictures placed in the My Car folder in the root directory. Okay, good to know. So going into the My Car folder in root directory, that's where you would want to put your boot up animation. Let's see if I confirm that. Yeah, right now it's just Dudu Auto, which is the default. So boot logo setting is in the My Car folder in the root directory. If we go to the files here, and we go to the My Car folder, currently there's nothing in here, but this is where I could put a boot animation, as long as that boot animation maintained these parameters that they're talking about, where the format has to be BMP, yada, yada, yada. Resolution of 2000 by 1200. Okay, good to know. Sleep mode keep alive app. Enabling this feature prevents the app from closing when the device enters sleep mode, keeping it active upon waking. This may impact system performance. Use with caution. Device restart required for changes to take effect. I have a theory on here. On my Joing head unit, my front camera and my rear camera were not only just cameras that I could use when I go in reverse, and not only a camera that I could turn on willy-nilly when I'm driving, or if I'm pulling into a parking spot and I need to see how far away I am from the front of the vehicle, or if my SUV is full of camping gear and I can't use my rear view camera, then I could use that rear camera as my rear view mirror. Did I say that right? Yeah. When I couldn't use my rear view mirror because I couldn't see out of it because the trunk was full of stuff, then I could use the rear view camera. I bet you that this could be used for the 360 cameras, just like a Tesla has surround view cameras for security. I'd be willing to bet that's what this is for. So sleep mode, set keep alive apps in PIP mode cannot enter sleep mode. What? Set the apps I want to keep alive in picture-in-picture mode. I think that might be a translation that's not very well. But if I had activated the 360 camera, I bet you right next to where it says Yandex Navi, I bet you right over there, there would be the 360 camera app that I could click on, and it would keep that app alive, which would keep the cameras alive while the vehicle is sleeping. I don't want to click confirm because I think that's going to restart my system. So I'm going to hang tight. In fact, if I click the question mark, well, maybe not. Yeah, there it is. Device restart was required for changes to take effect. So I'm going to leave that alone for now, since we're still moving through some stuff. So that's the startup settings submenu. Let's move over to the factory settings. Oh crap, I think this is 108, enter? Yeah, okay, so the code for that is 108, enter. Got a lot of options here. Reversing image mode. Oh yeah, here we go, dude. Yes, right now I'm set to reverse image mode. When I first went through the initial setup of the app, it asked me if I had purchased the 360 camera, and I said no. I lied. I do have that mode, but I just won't have the reversing image mode because a lot of you aren't going to use the 360 mode, because a lot of you don't want to go through the headache of installing the 360 camera system. I want to remind you guys, I will have my own video separate from this one of how to set up a 360-degree camera system for the Mekede Dudu7. 4-channel monitoring mode. I don't know what that is, but good to know. That must be a separate thing. Rebuild configuration parameters. Updating the system or flashing modifying the config file may result in abnormal behavior and bugs. Try repairing the configuration parameters and settings. If that fails, restore the factory settings. Are you sure you want to restore the config? No. I think that sounds more like a reset to me. I don't feel like resetting this. Screen settings and test. Color light settings. Ambient lighting. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's for... Let's back up. Let's go to... here. The ambient light, which I have the Duoco strip. I haven't installed it yet, but I have the Duoco strip, and then Dudu sells their own atmosphere lights as well. But I've got the Duoco strip, so I'll have to play with that. So that's interesting that you can test those in factory settings. Color light settings. Huh. That's cool. Okay, I'll have to play with that later. Of course, that's going to be a separate video. There's so much in this head unit that it really needs its own video. Touchscreen test. Oh boy. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm done here. Let's go back to settings. You get the idea. You can learn. You can teach the system how you tap on those circles, and then it'll kind of update the touchscreen. By the way, the touch sensitivity on this screen is so much better than on the Join. Touchscreen button learning. What the hell does that do? Touchscreen, if you already have a key study, please remove and relearn. Well, since I don't know what this does, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go back. Touchscreen button learning. I think that's if your screen has buttons on it, whether they're capacitive or physical. Mekede does have a head unit that has physical buttons on the screen. I chose this screen because I preferred not having buttons. And I think it's just a cleaner looking experience. I think it's more modern that way. Now, my 2023 Join head unit that you guys have seen on my channel, or you guys can go back and look at that, that one had capacitive touch buttons on it. And I was able to do what you see here, which is teach what those buttons do. So that's what this is here. That's what this black screen is for. MCU panel button learning. I do not know what that is. MCU panel button. I'll have to ask you guys, what does that mean, MCU panel button learning? I'm not too sure what that is. Enable MCU panel buttons. Well, that's been enabled by default. I just don't know what it is. Image settings. Image settings. AVD. I've seen AVD before. I just don't know what it stands for. Audio, video, digital, maybe? I'm taking shots in the dark. So yeah, I don't know exactly what that image setting does. But that's the submenu for screen settings and test. Adjust screen display area. If the embedded screen is partially blocked by the car frame, use this option to adjust the visible display area. Again, this is an opinion, this isn't a fact, but I assume if something is blocking your view of the screen, you might be able to move your screen left or right, up or down a little bit. I'm not going to go into that because my screen is set up perfect, so I have no need to adjust the screen. USB. USB car link, USB high car, iPhone USB tethering. Oh, this is for people that are using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which I'll never use. Because that, for me, the head unit is its own operating system. Why the heck do I need Android Auto or Apple CarPlay? Unless you want to text while you're driving, you know, with your voice, like saying, hey, Google, send a text message to mom or whatever. Then, okay, I guess that's when you would want to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but I don't see a point in that. Let me get out of here. USB boot device, car link or high car. Yeah, I'm not going to use any of that, so that doesn't, that's not for me. Canbus beta info log. The fuck is it? What is this? Use Canbus beta. Display Canvas information on screen. Oh, okay. This is for debugging. So on the Mekede forums, there is a section where you can submit a bug. Say, for example, your Canbus is not communicating well. Well, let me phrase that. Say your Canbus module is not communicating with your factory Canbus of your vehicle. It's not doing some things like it's supposed to be doing. Well, here you can export log files and stuff like that. That way you can submit it to Mekede, and Mekede will make their changes for you, and then they'll send you a file that you can then test to make sure it's working. Other settings. Door lock interference. Antenna's always on. Allow unknown sources. Yeah, I want to allow unknown sources of APK files. Rear camera's always on. I'm down for that. Yeah, I want that voltage to always go to the rear camera. Disable video while driving. I do not want that. Increase the touch range of the navigation bar. I have no need for that. Reversing camera switch. Reversing camera switch. Enable this setting to display the OEM reversing camera image. This may need to be disabled if your vehicle has a BBA dual system. Huh. Interesting. Other settings. Oh, we've already been there. Development. Sync A&R. Copy the A&R file to the crash folder. I'm not sure what that's for. I would imagine Mekede would probably be able to tell you guys what that's for. So that's the factory settings submenu. And then we've got fan settings. Right now, I've got my fan to off because I want you guys to be able to hear me. Currently, I'm recording this with my Sony lavalier microphone that I have located somewhat hidden in my B pillar of my Jeep Wrangler. And I ran that jack through my roll bar, down my A-pillar, through my dashboard, into the back of the Mekede. So I'm not using the internal microphone that is located inside of the head unit. I'm using the Sony lavalier that I purchased off Amazon. There's a link in the description, of course, for it. But I sound better to whoever I call, or in this case, recording these videos, I sound better with that lavalier microphone that's hooked up to my B-pillar. If I was to change it to auto, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but the fan's on right now. I can control that temperature in Celsius. So let's say if I increase it to 80 degrees Celsius, it should turn off, and it won't turn back on until the head unit cooks up to 80 degrees Celsius. To me, that's pretty hot. So I'm going to decrease that down to 60 degrees Celsius. That's what it was at the factory. Inside the car right now, it's about 91 degrees inside the vehicle. And that's why you guys normally see me with my shirt off. But I'm going to click the fan off for now so you guys can hear me better. There's the fan settings. We're done with the vehicle submenu. Let's go into sound. So starting off with the equalizer, I've got standard, rock and roll, pop. You guys can see the rest. These are all pre-configured, but I can individually change those values. So inside value adjustment, you can individually control these parameters. Ultra high frequency, mid frequency, low frequency. Everybody's here. All the guys are here. Going back into style, let's see, what else we have? An equalizer, is that it? Yeah, that's it, an equalizer. Sound field settings. So I could concentrate more on the driver, I could concentrate more on the passenger. The rear mode makes the sound focus more on the rear. All car mode makes everything back in the center. Or I can individually adjust these by touching, I can individually adjust these by touching the arrow button, bring it all the way forward, and then all the way to my passenger side. You guys get the idea. I'll hit that button on the top right to restore to default, and it brings everything back to center. Surround focus, linkage and independent. Oh, okay, here we go. This is where you can adjust your timing for your surround. on independent. Linkage, I don't really know what that is. So that's more for you audiophile guys. Not exactly sure. I don't think that's really for me. DTS settings, I currently have mine set to 4.1. That's because I've got the typical classic 4 channels, and then my 0.1 is my subwoofer. So I could do DTS off if I wanted to, but because I've got that, because I've got that subwoofer, I'm gonna go to 4.1. If I had a center speaker on my dashboard, or if I retrofitted a center speaker on my dashboard, then I would select 5.1. I'm not gonna do that now because I just have 4.1. And then you've got music, vocals, and cinema. That kind of just changes the listening tune of your music. I have not played with that. I'll potentially can make that a future video if you guys are interested. DTS advanced settings. I'm not sure what wrapping enhancements means. I'm not sure what focus means either. Bass boost, I understand that, but those other ones, I have no idea. I can't speak on that. Advanced settings. Okay, here we go. Here's our bass boost, subwoofer volume. We can increase the output. I think that would just probably increase voltage on the subwoofer pre-out. That's an assumption, of course. I don't know what this dial does here. Nor that either. I would need to play with this while I'm not trying to record video. I would need to play with this when I've got my amplifier, my subwoofer, and all my speakers hooked up. Then I could speak on this. So if you guys are interested, leave a comment down below and I can make this its own video and I can communicate to you guys what I'm hearing different and what those are actually doing. Let me restore back to factory settings. I see there's one on the left side and also one on the right side too. Whoops, where'd that go? Yeah, so here we have the high-low filters. You've got your gain. See if we adjust that. Got your reverb. If you guys decide that you want reverb in all your songs, that would be something. I don't know who would use that. Speaker power regulation. What does this do? Well, this is for the fan. Enable the amp fan. And then speaker power regulation. Okay. Don't know what that does. Loudness. We've all had that since like 1996, I think, for those head units back then. A lot of those head units come with loudness buttons. Speed-based volume control. Yeah, self-explanatory. I'll probably have mine set to low. I like that that's there. Is there anything on the bottom? Reset equalizer to default settings. Yep, let's reset everything back to default. Gain is off, reverb is off. I like it. Cool, everything's back to off. Except for my speed-based volume, that's enabled. Okay, that's that for advanced settings. Is that everything? Yeah, that's everything for advanced settings. Now, under the audio mix settings, it says navigation/audio mix. Music volume lowers during navigation prompts. When this is disabled, music pauses instead. At level 15, music and navigation play at the same volume. Okay, right on. Reverse gear audio mix settings. You could mute your audio whenever you put your vehicle in reverse. Me, I don't need that. So I'm going to set mine to maximum, which is volume 20. So let's say I'm playing my volume at 25. Well, my volume is going to automatically decrease to 20 when I go in reverse. And then when I go into drive or into park, it'll increase back to 25. 20 is the loudest that you can be at for reverse gear audio mix. Alert sound mixing. Apps for audio mixing. Not sure what this does. Let me click on calculator. Apps for audio mixing. Oh, no, please don't restart the device. Okay, I don't know what alert sound mixing is. Maybe if an app is sending you an alert, like your Gmail, let's say if you had Gmail downloaded and you get an email that comes through on Gmail, maybe that's what this is for. I'm not too sure. Advanced settings, audio output. Enable the amplifier fan. Yeah, we've been there. Oh yeah. SPDIF pass-through. I'm going to turn mine off because I'm not using SPDIF. However, some of you guys are. Here's what happens when I click the question. It pops up with bypassing the built-in DSP. The sound is output directly to downstream devices via coax or optical fiber. And this provides near source audio quality. And they're not kidding. There's a YouTube video that I will have a link to in my description, and that guy really goes through it. It's truly 24-bit, 192 kilohertz for fiber coax resolution. I mean, it's incredible. USB audio output. Someone asked me about this on Facebook, and he was talking over my head. I think it was Hammer. I think it was Hammer that was asking me about USB audio output, and I just don't know enough about it to speak on it. But when I click that button, it says this function can decode the audio output through USB and then hand it over to the external audio devices for processing. If you don't have a corresponding USB DAC device, please do not enable this function, as the decoding cannot take place, resulting in no sound with Bluetooth nor the radio. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't have any USB audio output devices. So that's amplifier settings on, yeah, audio output. Oh, it says amplifier settings, but down here it says audio output. And when you click on audio output, it says amplifier settings. So I don't know, weird. Advanced settings. Yeah, we've seen that. Speed bass, volume compensation is low. I just set that recently. Custom noise reduction, what does that do? This feature requires models equipped with power amplifiers from brands like Bose. Okay. Interesting. Default volume on startup. Yeah, I do not want mine set to 18. So I'm going to enable that and set it to just 2. Because I don't need my volume to be up at 8, I think, what was it, 15 or 18, whatever it was. Touchscreen sound, do not like it. Yeah, do you hear that? Every time I touch the screen, it makes that noise. So, dear Lord, please turn that off. Touchscreen sounds back off. Sound balance. Just in case your Bluetooth phone is louder than everything else, you can decrease that from 5 down to like 1 or 2. Oh, you could even decrease it down to 0. Huh, interesting. TV, I don't know who's got TV hooked up, but yeah. And then sound source, aux or iPod-TV. I don't know what that is for sound source. So I'm not going to speak on that. Display and theme. Clicking on daytime theme, here's the themes that I can choose from the factory. There are a bunch of other themes that are available in the theme center. And if I click on theme center, and if I click on, let's say, theme download, I have to log in. And that goes back to me not having a Mekede account set up. I'll do that in a separate video. So if we go back into displays and themes, you can set your daytime theme to these themes that you see here. There's 6 of them, and like I mentioned earlier, you can get more. Here's what night theme looks like. Night theme has all these 6 displays to choose from. For me, I'm going to do Revolution Night for my nighttime. Below that, we've got day and night settings. Day and night switching mode. I currently have mine set to turn on when the vehicle headlights turn on. But here's all the options. You've got always day mode, always night mode, follow AMAP auto, using the AMAP car broadcaster to switch conflicts with day-night syncing, theme priority applies. I don't know what AMAP auto is. Hopefully someone in the comments can correct me. Sunrise and sunset, I love that, but I travel underneath car parks a lot, or underneath parking garages. And since I travel inside parking garages often, I'm not gonna have mine set for sunrise and sunset. I want it to come on when the headlights come on. You could do a fixed time, like between the hours of, 4 p.m. and 5 p.m., whatever. You could do that for fixed time. Light blend mode, use a night theme at night, switching themes based on light during the day. Light blend mode. I don't know what that is. I can't figure out what that is, unless there's a sensor on the screen that detects ambient light inside your vehicle, maybe? But I haven't seen that. Sunrise and sunset, yeah, it's not sunset just yet. But anyway, I'm changing mine back to vehicle light switch. I will say, if I don't have a Canbus decoder, then that day and night switching mode based off of my vehicle's headlights, That wouldn't work. You have to have a Canbus module in order for that function to work. Advanced settings. Sync with Android global day and night. Third-party apps can switch between day and night modes, but the system will force the app to refresh when switching and the music player may be paused. Okay, I don't know what that is. I do like extreme dark mode. Again, I've had this unit for 2 weeks. Well, I've had this installed for 2 weeks. I've actually had it longer, just taken a while to install this thing. But I do like that I can decrease the output of the screen beyond the brightness. So here's what I mean. If I move this palette down and I decrease the brightness here, what I'm seeing in person is still too bright for nighttime. Sure, I could click night mode, but it's still too dark for me. So there, under advanced settings, enabling the extreme dark mode allows me to decrease the brightness even further than what you currently see. Adjusting the screen brightness, let's click the question mark. If the minimum night brightness is too bright, you can adjust the minimum backlight level to lower the brightness. To prevent the screen damage, image burning, black dots, stuff like that. Do not set these too high or too low. Got it. So going inside here, it says do not set the brightness below 30. Screen may flash black. Set a max current value to determine the highest brightness level of the screen. Current value is 40 and 70. So I'll increase that to 80, and then this 30, if I let go of that, let's see, 30, what happens at 28? Nothing. 24, nothing, 17. I can only go down all the way to 11. Huh. Okay, well, didn't see anything change there. We'll just leave it at 30 for now. Confirm that. Yep, I'll confirm. Good deal. So that explains what's going on here. There's anything at the bottom? Nope, nothing at the bottom. Just for a brief moment, I'm going to drop down notification panel, turn off night mode, so you guys don't have to see all that. Let's go back inside settings, what they keep calling setup. I'm calling settings. So that is the display. Yeah, brightness setting for daytime, nighttime screen brightness, lower that all the way down. Yeah, that's display and theme. Next, we'll go to device connection. Device connection. SWC, I don't have mine yet. It hasn't come in just yet. But I'll go inside these menus for you guys. The OBD2, the Bluetooth dongle, additional features, gate voltage, blah, blah, blah. Yep. TPMS. That's all the different TPMSs that you can link up to it. This is that Mekede sensor that you can put inside your vehicle. I can't figure out why anybody would want this. You've got a heads-up display that you can buy from Mekede as well. Links to everything is going to be down in my description. It looks like there's also some other head units, or some, looks like there's also some other head-up displays that you can purchase. It doesn't have to be just the Mekede one. Ambient lighting, I briefly talked about that earlier. Here's the different ones that they support. The ADAS recorder. The DVR2, mine's coming in the mail, so I can have a video on it later. The LED display. Yeah, I have one. I have an LED display that's not from Mekede. It's from a different manufacturer, so I'll have to see if it works with this, and that'll be a separate video. So those are all the device connections. We'll go into more features here. Hey team, so there are gestures that are available here on the Mekede. Clicking on the question mark for gesture functions. Gesture controls are unavailable on the home screen with the minimalist launcher mode active. Good to know. Gesture hover response speed. You've got slow, medium, and fast. We'll click on medium. I haven't really played with that. Notice the blue icons on the left side and the right side. They're very faint. Gesture control settings. Swiping right, well, on the right side of the screen, swiping left would be the back button. As you guys can see that on the right side, I'm holding it right now, but if I release my finger, it does a back button. If I go to, let's see, right hover, swipe left and hold, currently no operation, but I could have that open up a shortcut menu or open up an app, for example. So there's some items there. A task? What kind of task would that? I don't know what that does, task. Anyway, left swipe right. If I'm on the left side of the screen and I swipe to the right, you guys can see this now. See the little arrow that pops up? I'm currently holding it, but if I release it, it does a back button as well. And let's see, left hover, swipe right and hold is also no operation. Gesture hot zone settings, left width, left height, right width, right height. I want to point something out real quick. Gesture app bar settings. There is a home screen, a bottom of the screen gesture. You don't see it right now. All you see is the right and the left side. And that's because I'm trialing the beta that was recently launched July 8th of 2025. So I'm on the beta OS, but I can tell you that there is a gesture that if you swipe from the bottom of your screen upwards towards the middle of your screen, there is a gesture there for those of you that are on the regular OS that are not on the beta. Okay, so underneath the gesture app bar, the gesture app bar settings, we've got use icon pack only, all custom, number of icons is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gesture app bar countdown. No idea, man. Okay, so it's saying gesture app bar. Gesture app bar. And I don't know what this is. Gesture hot zone. Gesture control settings. Well, I'm just not privy enough to talk about the gesture app bar section, but at least you guys know what's available there. Let's go back to more features. Let's go into Smart Reminder. Select TTS add-on, download an app store. App list is empty. Okay, I just click it a bunch of times and nothing happens. Widget settings, warning alert framed in red, reversing voice delay broadcast, temporarily turn off voice prompts. Reminder list. I want to add a reminder, so I click the plus icon. Add reminder list. Sound and pop-up warning. Car door, oh, okay. Car door open, front left door, car door open. Reversing speed limit warning, red screen warning. Dude, I could have a warning for speed limit. Car door close, rear left door. Car door close the trunk, which they're calling the boot. It's really a trunk. Well, in the United States, it's called a trunk. In Europe, it's called, or in England, it's called a boot. Okay. I'll try this. Maybe I'll make a video on it later. Let's go to speed limit warning, red screen warning. Confirm. If I edit that, no, we'll keep it there. Reminder list. Warning alerts are framed in red. Yeah. Edit. Speed limit warning. But where do I, okay, but where do I set the speed limit to? Like say 40 miles an hour or what? There's no direction there for this reminder list. So I'm just going to delete that. Backing out of Smart Reminder, Aux Touch. Now, I don't know what Aux Touch does. If I turn it on, it says displayed when the launcher is in the foreground, short press, return to Dudu launcher, long press, custom app icon. I don't know what Aux Touch is. It was off by default, I'll leave it off. My mobile, use my mobile function. Okay, it's enabled, but it doesn't explain what this does. No idea what that does, disabling it. Notifications. Yeah, so this I do know what it does. You got vehicle status, real-time service, trip status, mobile notifications, blah, blah. Excuse me, I got hiccups. Use in-app notifications, local notification filtering. So if I get a text message, which I had set this up last week, it would show up here on the right side. It would show up a text message notification that I had received on my phone if my phone was connected to Bluetooth and if I had allowed the Mekede to have access to receiving and reading text messages. So that is what notification enable is there. I'll go ahead and turn that off because I have no desire to get any notifications when I'm driving. That's just going to distract me and potentially give me an accident. Multi-touch. Enable multi-touch. Multi-touch may interfere with app features like two-finger pinch and zoom. If it disrupts apps, disable this function. How to use multi-touch. Oh, that's cool. Slide up for home, slide down for back. Oh, two finger. What? Dude, that's sick. Multi-touch may interfere with app. Yeah, if it is, okay, got it. How to use multi-touch, okay, got it. So let's try two finger volume up. Dude, that does work. Dude, get out of there. Let's go back home. Two finger up, 14, 17, 20. Cool, two finger to the left. And then two finger up takes me, well, I'm already home. Two finger down is back. Let's try that. Let's go into files. And then let's go into two finger up. I love this. I love this. That's great. Good to know. So back into more features. Multi-touch is enabled. Built-in app, multimedia. Music player status interface. There's a list or there's playing page. Show tips when changing songs. Autoplay Bluetooth music when the phone is connected. I'm going to leave that off. I don't want that on. Skip songs when there's an error. After the function's turned on, if there's music that cannot be played, it will automatically skip to the next one. And if it cannot be played 5 times in a row, it's just going to pause. That's good to know. Autoplay at startup. I'll hit the question mark. It says follow the memory playback refers to before the ignition is playing, that ignition will be replayed. Slow U disk. It may cause autoplay failure. Well, I think what they're saying is that it'll memorize the last song that you were playing via Bluetooth, or maybe if you're playing from a USB thumb drive, it'll remember what song that you were on your list, and perhaps that's what it's talking about. But anyway, you can choose from title, art, artist, name, album, art, file name sorting, enable autoplay, disable autoplay. Yeah, I really don't want autoplay starting for anything. Skip songs when there's an error. I don't need to have that on. And then list and playing page. Okay, built-in app for phone. Yeah, I have seen this in person because I have had my phone connected to Bluetooth and I have received a phone call, and they're not kidding. It's truly full screen, whereas the pop-up is kind of like a little island, like that new iPhone island. It's kind of like that. It's a little small pop-up capsule that shows up in the top center where you can accept the call or decline it. Display SMS for mobile phone. I talked about that earlier. That would show up here in your notification panel on the right-hand side, but it'll also pop up a little small shadow of it on the left side of the screen. At least it did for me when I played around with it. Going back into phone. Force sync the latest contacts after the phone connection. So what that means is, let's say you've Bluetooth connected to your Mekede, and let's say you've allowed the Mekede to have access to your contact list. And then you turn your vehicle off and you go into your office, you go into work or wherever, and you add a new contact into your phone book of your phone. And then later in the day, you go back out to your car and you turn your vehicle on and you have Bluetooth on your cell phone. Well, it's going to automatically connect to the Mekede, and then it's going to automatically sync your contact list. If I click the question mark, it says this may significantly consume the head unit's resources, potentially causing lag when it's syncing the Bluetooth call interface. If you don't frequently update contacts, you can disable this option and manually refresh contacts via the top right corner when needed. Next is going to be built-in app for the App Store. Auto check for updates on the App Store, and then beta app access. Enable this toggle to receive newer and more experimental versions of apps. Beta apps may be less stable, but they may contain bugs and also cause unforeseen errors for stability. Do not turn this on. It's funny that they say don't turn it on, but then they let you turn it on. And when they say the App Store, they are not talking about the Google App Store. What they're talking about is this guy over here. This App Store that comes on the Mekede. This App Store are all these apps right here. This is for those of you that don't want to create a Google account, so you don't want to have access to the Android Play Store. This is the navigation apps. These are the media apps. These are the utility apps. And then these are the system apps. And there's a bunch of them in different ones. Utilities has all these. Downloads and updates. You've got all these guys here. I've got an update for Spotify. I have an update for Yandex Navigator. I'm going to remove Yandex Navigator because I prefer Google Maps. We talked about the built-in app store. Next, we're going to talk about the advanced settings for tasks. Tasks, if I click the plus icon, schedule tasks may be restricted by model or software. Test trigger conditions individually. Replace or delay those triggers if needed. Space multiple tasks 1 to 2 seconds apart to prevent conflicts. What they are talking about is called IFTTT. If this, then that. If I open up my driver's door, then change the ambient lighting to purple or flash the ambient lighting. The world is kind of your oyster here. This is a very powerful tool, the IFTTT, or what they keep calling tasks. If I go back into more features, tasks, plus icon, trigger conditions. So let's see, if night theme is turned on, I can delay that for one. They recommended delaying it for 1 to 2 seconds. So we'll say delay for 2 seconds. If the night theme is turned on, then open an app or toggle a widget or reset the Bluetooth or volume up, or you've got a whole bunch of different things that you can choose. If you click open the app associated with this event could be LED scene, which would be an LED screen located at the back of my vehicle or on the side window, or maybe turn on the air conditioner or have the ambient lights turn on. There's a bunch of different things here. There's a bunch of different apps that you have options to, and then you can download even more apps in the Play Store. So very powerful tool. This is not available in Join, at least not from Join. There is what's called Macro Droid, which is an even more powerful tool than this one, called Tasks from Mekede, but my hat goes off to Mekede for even trying this. I think those of you that have really in-depth Canbus systems are going to be able to really take advantage of tasks. On my Jeep Wrangler, there's just not a lot that the Canbus does. I mean, I've got my steering wheel controls that it understands. I've got the door opening that it understands. Like I'll open up the passenger door and then you'll see the icon pop up. And then it also understands my headlights automatically turning on and turning off, but that's about it. So advanced settings for shortcuts. Shortcut name. Associated app. Whoa. There's a lot of apps on here. This is my first time in here. Dang, there's apps that are technically hidden that you can see on here. See, I've seen these apps on when I have done my ADB commands. I need to work on that video, by the way. When I had ADB'd into this unit, I have seen these apps. These are the system apps. Okay, so this is refreshing my memory now. Yeah, so these hidden apps that you normally can't see, you can see those here in shortcuts. Activity associated with that app, I have to first select an app, of course. So let's say YouTube. Now you've got all these activities that you can play from, or that you can select from, a whole bunch of them. That's pretty cool. That in and of itself would require another video because that's a lot of cool stuff right there in shortcuts. Let's go back to more features. GPS. Delayed loading of location data. I have no idea why I would ever want to delay my GPS. My speed unit is in miles per hour. I'd be willing to bet that now that I changed that to miles per hour, if we go back to the home screen and I do my 3 fingers, where did it go? Oh no, that's not it. If I click the 3 dots up here, widget selection, and I go to vehicle condition, there you go. My speed is in miles per hour. Yeah, speed's in miles per hour, but trip and mileage is still in kilometers per hour. Huh, that's a bummer. I bet you there's a way to change that. I just don't know how to. Okay, moving on. Back into GPS. Priority use speed type. Select AMAP speed. AMAP must be running. If not running, GPS speed will be used. Yeah, great. I've got mine set to GPS. You could also do it via OBD or Canbus protocol. Speed correction. If you've noticed that your GPS is not quite right, you can adjust that here. Lab. Developer debug. Well, I have no idea what this is. But here you go, for those of you that want to see it. Cool, moving on. Wireless connection, auto connect to the Wi-Fi. you are using CarPlay or other smartphone connectivity features, please do not enable this function as it may cause the connection to fail. All right, well, let me just cancel that then. AP Auto Start. What is AP Auto Start? Android 7 and above. Set the SSID and password by Android system settings. Yeah, whatever that is. Wi-Fi authentication. Cool, nothing. Let's get back out of lab. Okay, so that wraps up all the submenus for the more features. And then we have About Device. I've got the 256 gigs of storage with 12 gigs of RAM. And I'm on the latest and greatest beta. That is 3.6e as an echo. Clicking on launcher version, that does nothing. System update, dude, I love Mekede for doing OTA software updates. Over-the-air software updates is life. Unlike the Join, where you had to put everything on an SD card and make sure the SD card was formatted to FAT32 and make sure the zip file was unpacked and this and that. You don't have to do any of that here. All of this is done over the air. And you can also see the history of some of the changes. Fix some bugs. Dudu7 official was launched on May 19th. It was a 562 megabit file size. Back on May 19th, you see the changelog for that. May 16th, what's changed? You guys can see all this stuff on the forum as well. But I'm a huge fan of changelogs. Join never gave us changelogs. We always had to just make a shot in the dark of what it was. You can also do the beta updates, which you would do that via clicking on local update. And then here you could do that. You got other updates. You can click on other updates and just update the Bluetooth. That's more for debugging. If you're working with Mekede on debugging an issue that you're having with your particular Canbus or your particular make and model, that's where you would go for that. Let's go back into About Device. Reset and wipe data. Self-explanatory. I don't want to do that. But that's what that screen looks like. General settings, app menu, display settings, uninstall permission settings. Excuse me. Those of you that have Android phones, this looks familiar. This is where you can come in and you can remove apps. You notice how I can't remove CarLink 2.0, also known as Z-Link for those of you that have Join. Best believe I will be removing this CarLink 2.0 because, like I've mentioned several times in this video, to me, in my opinion, which is not worth much, there's no point in using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto when this Mekede head unit is its own operating system. Pointless to use CarLink 2.0. An opinion, of course. So let's see, where was I? Android settings. Yeah. So in Android settings, more settings, Android settings, you've got your wireless network. We've been there. You got your Bluetooth. And I'll make a video of all the Bluetooth peripherals, like wireless keyboard, stuff like that, wireless mouse, that I can connect up here. Wired settings, desktop mode, device mode, yada yada, display, Moonlight White, Classic Black, Custom, apps. Kind of looks familiar there, doesn't it? You can see all 37 of your apps here, which looks very familiar if we back out and we go to here. Pretty much the same thing, same menu. So back in apps, I do like that I can set my own default apps. So if when I download Nova Launcher, I can make my home app Nova Launcher. So big fan of that. I love that they don't block that, unlike the Join. With my Join, I don't know if you guys remember that fiasco, but we didn't get that ability until a lot of us complained, and then they gave us the ability with an update. Storage. Yeah, this just kind of shows you where most of your data is being used. Location, it can show you the apps that are using location currently. You can click on See All, different location services. Password and accounts. I am currently logged into a throwaway Gmail account. You don't have to create a throwaway account. I just use a throwaway account just for security purposes in case Mekede servers were to ever get hacked. I feel covered there. System. You got your language and input. And this is just kind of like a regular Android phone. You've got all that stuff there. I'm sure iPhone has something similar. Daytime settings, use local set by time zone. And I've got 24-hour format. You don't have to use that. I'm just used to military time, but you guys can use the regular 12-hour deal. Reset options. You have to put a code in. I forget what the code is. I think it's 3368. Yeah, it is 3368. You can reset there. About device. I don't feel like scrolling around here because at some point it's going to show my IP address, but you guys can play around there. Dim screen beyond your phone's minimum brightness. I like that extra dim setting at night. That way it doesn't blind me. I want to be able to see the road, not necessarily be able to see my screen so much. So I could definitely see myself creating a shortcut to just completely black my screen out, unless I need to see my rear view camera. And I am going to make a video, just like I did with the Join, showing the quality of the Mekede camera system at night, which, by the way, it is really nice. So, full disclosure. Let's go back out. We've gone into more settings, Android settings, global unit settings, tire pressure, speed, and temperature. I would like PSI because that's what we use here in the United States. Speed unit is set to miles per hour, temperature set to Fahrenheit. Time settings, set time automatically, set times automatically, use location time. This looks very familiar, just in a bigger format. Language settings. Mine is obviously in English, United Kingdom. I could add a language. I could add English, United States. And then I also speak Spanish, so I'll put on here Español Argentina. Español Argentina. Hello. Oh, I guess it's not there. Oh, I remember where I saw this. This was in my Google settings. So let's go ahead and we'll click remove. English, United Kingdom, remove. Yeah, if I remove, I really don't want it to restart. Okay, thank the Lord, it didn't restart. That's good. But it's nice that you can change languages on the fly, at least with the Mekede Dudu system. Guys, that's it. That is what they call setup, what I'm calling the settings menu. That's everything. If you guys have questions, of course, leave them down in the comments. Let's hop back up top. Team Elevated, that is a wrap on this video. It's gone way too long, but there's a lot of settings and menus and submenus. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. This took a lot of time and effort. There is a thanks button down below that YouTube provides. I'm pretty sure that they take a cut. I'll leave my PayPal as well in the description if you guys feel like buying me a bottle of water, because I don't drink coffee and I don't drink beer. So that being said, do you need this head unit? No, you don't need this head unit. What you need to do is spend some time with loved ones, or, study and further your education on something. So no, you don't need this head unit. Do you want this head unit? Maybe you might want this head unit. I don't know. For me right now, of all the head units that I've tested, this is the flagship. This is holding the crown, as I mentioned before, as of July 2025. This one's it. Several videos are going to be coming in the future. They're going to show the reasons why I say that this is the flagship. I'm going to leave a link as well down in the description to another YouTuber that has really gone in full details for you audiophiles. So go ahead and watch that if you're really, really big into audiophiles. Those of you that are bass heads, or those of you that are not audiophiles, I'm pointing fingers at myself. You might not take much away from that. If you guys got questions, comments, leave them down below. I hope that you guys hit like, maybe share this with someone that you know. And if you don't feel like hitting like, don't do that either. Maybe leave a comment as to what you didn't like. That way I can improve and make better videos for you guys in the future. Love you. Stay blessed.